Hello, everyone. TGIF. We're really excited to have you with us. My name is Onyinye Ede Vincent, and I happen to be the founder and the lead strategist behind the AYE Hub, also known as the AYE Hub. I'll tell you what AYE means in a minute. So welcome. Today's agenda, of course, we're all here to talk about navigating a career in adolescent health and youth development. But most importantly, we're here to answer your questions. So we have convened 4 experts in adolescent health and youth development to share their journey, how they got to where they are today, but also to answer the questions that you all have. Those of you that follow me on LinkedIn, or other social media platforms, I asked a question about what are the challenges that young people are facing when it comes to working in the development space. But also, what other challenges do you face just as a young person trying to get into the development space? What questions do you have? So I got a number of questions, and our panelists are ready to answer them. But if you didn't get a chance to send in your questions, don't worry, you still have a chance to. We will be taking questions at some point during today's conversation. So just quickly, our agenda, of course, this is me welcoming you all. And then we will have our speakers introduce themselves. Each of them have 5 minutes to tell you about themselves and how they got to where they are today. And then we will engage in a 30-minute panel discussion. Hopefully it doesn't exceed 30 minutes. So that we can actually get to Q&A from the audience. And then we will wrap up with some closing reflections and announcements. My goal is to have us all out of here in the next hour and 10 minutes. So total of an hour and 30 minutes, because I know we always have a vibrant conversation and we want to give you enough time, but we also don't want to take up all of your Friday afternoon. All right? If you're excited to get the show on the road, give me a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay. Just before we get into our speakers, thank you, Queen. I see the thumbs up. Thank you. So I know that I'm audible. Before we get into our speakers, let me tell you a bit about the AYE Hub. I'm sure some of you are like, what is this all about? So I'm glad you asked. So AYE Hub is a platform that's dedicated to showcasing thought leadership, about thought leadership when it comes to youth engagement. We're also about educating young professionals on careers in development. We will also be providing technical insights for organizations that want to know how can we meaningfully engage young people in our work. And then we also amplify expert voices and youth perspectives. Here, we're here to show you that young people matter. Young people are not just the future, they're actually the present. And we have amazing young people that have brilliant ideas. So that is what the AYE Hub is about. How do we amplify these voices? But also for those of you that want to become the youth experts, we will also provide mentorship. So we are here for young people, and this is a platform that is for and by young people with young people. And lastly, we advocate for youth-centered policies. All right, our vision and mission, why do we exist? We exist because we want to see a world where young people are meaningfully engaged, where they are empowered and they're supported through responsive health systems and inclusive development programs. Our mission on a day-to-day basis, we are dedicated to amplifying expert perspectives, equipping young professionals, and supporting organizations in designing and implementing youth-friendly policies and programs. I hope that tells you a bit more about us. And now it's time for you to meet our speakers. I would like for all of our speakers who are present to kindly turn on your camera so that the audience can see you, and I will also spotlight you. We have Musonda Chikwanda. So Musonda, I'll go ahead and start with you. If you can just introduce yourself. You have 5 minutes or less. Introduce yourself and tell us how you got to where you are today. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Onyenye. So my name is Musonda Chikwanda, and I'm from Zambia. Excuse me. For the past, I would say 6 years, I've worked around the youth development space with on an initiative called Girl Up, which is linked with the United Nations Foundation and just working around improving the lives of girls and women. I've had an opportunity to work around developing resources as well as curriculums and also organizing youth events to be able to give youths across sub-Saharan Africa opportunities to reach their fullest potential. Prior to that, of course, I've had moments just within my country to work with organizations such as UNICEF, um, projects on USAID, but much of my opportunities have been around working with youth development, in the youth development spaces, sorry. I think the big question that I guess everyone is asking is how did I get into this space? I think for me, it had to do with a lot on where I grew up from and the different experiences and exposures that I had early in my career. I like to consider myself, I had the privilege to, have access to basic education, which I believe majority of the youths in Africa do not have. And I also had the privilege to meeting like-minded people who guided me throughout my path. While I, embarked in a journey where it allowed me to have access to education and also build up on my skills, I saw that within this process, it almost felt like it was a train. When we started in first grade, we were 100, but as we moved to different levels across our education system in Zambia, the train, kept on getting smaller and smaller. So, the train now, we get to a stop where we've now had high school education and university as well. It also gave me an opportunity to understand how do I give back to my community, or how do I actually integrate and see how we can make this train a little bit bigger by the time it gets to an end. So I had the opportunity to be exposed to different scopes of work across the continent, particularly with the African Union. And this gave me sort of a broad understanding of some of the issues that were affecting Africa, not just my own country, Zambia. So some of the tools, resources, networking events sort of gave me direction as to where I want to be in my career. And then I got to a point where I also asked myself, like, beyond this being a career, how do I, feel fulfilled? How do I enjoy my life as a youth? And also, how do I also pass on some of this knowledge that I have? And so I then, ended up with where I am right now with United Nations Foundation and the initiative called Girl Up. So that's a little bit about myself, but happy if you have any additional question based on my intro, please feel free to put in the chat box and I'll happily respond to that.
Beautiful. Musonda, that was just A. You get an A plus plus plus. Please, a round of applause for Musonda's introduction. And I hope our other speakers will be as succinct as she was. Thank you so much, Musonda. So get your questions ready. All right, Diola, over to you. Let's bring you up for your intro.
Hi, everyone. It's good afternoon from Nigeria. My name is Deola Durodola, and I'm currently the Executive Director, United Way Greater Nigeria. I have been a development professional for about 10 years now, and I've been working basically in gender education, youth productivity, decent jobs, climate education as well. And I guess, I would say that I got into social impact and development work quite early because I started at age 13. And that was, yeah, 13. I was 13 years. I was in JSS2 at a secondary school here in Lagos, in a community called Bariga. It's a girls' school. An organization, Action Health Incorporated, had come into the school to train the teenagers on peer health education. And that's how I got introduced to social impact work. I was trained, and then I eventually had to lead a club called the Health and Life Planning Club in my school at the time. And I found it interesting. I found it necessary. I found it important. I saw that the work that I was doing was contributing greatly to, one, the choices that my friends and my peers were making, they would come to me for, oh, I have this issue with my menstrual cycle, for example. I was the one who could calculate menstrual cycle very well, and things like that. Or they had issues with like decision making, communicating, negotiating, or even issues with like their boyfriend, and things like that. And these were issues that had been introduced to us, or I had received some sort of training from while I attended the training at Action Health Incorporated in Yaba. And I just thought that that was a very, I liked what he made me do. It made me responsible. It made me very focused. I knew that I needed to be better because there were people, even though they were my peers, who were looking sort of like in quotes up to me. I was still 13 and I was still in JS2 when I became the Deputy Honorable Clerk of the Lagos State Children's Parliament. Lagos State has some sort of like a children's parliament that is supposed to be a symbol of child participation and representation basically in Nigeria. So what the House or the parliament did at the time was that we would do like mock sessions of like the parliament session and then discuss issues that are affecting children in the way that we understood it and what we thought we needed or what we thought we wanted. And then we will then present this to the real parliament, the real House of Assembly. And they would, look for ways to implement some of the things that were our requests. And I also enjoyed that, I liked that, I was doing some form of advocacy work and things, real changes and real issues were being sorted and real changes were happening in within my states. I could see that things were really happening and that made me really happy. I think by the time I was 15, I was already doing a lot more in terms of volunteering. And it was at 15 that I got my first award for volunteering, actually, for the impacts and service to humanity work that I was doing with Action Health. I remember that we used to organize a program called Teenage Festival of Life. Uh, and it was a forum that brought together young people from different secondary schools, where they had the opportunity to showcase societal issues that are affecting them through presentations in like music, drama, poetry, and so on and so forth. I went ahead and did a lot more work as a teenager. I think at 18, I did the Youth Skills Development Program. By the time I was 20, I think I was at what's it called now? African Conference on Sexual Health and Rights, which held in Namibia, and then I went for another one in Ghana as well. So all of these is what I would say introduced me to development work. And I have continued to, do my first of all, improve myself, got an education, a BSc and a master's degree in sociology, as well as then go ahead to work in organizations. I've worked in Action Health, at Murtala Mohammed Foundation, at Chudanego Foundation as a foundation manager, and now at United Way Greater Nigeria. So I think that's my journey in a nutshell. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Diola, thank you so much. I mean, I think you're probably the one that started the youngest out of all of us. But shout out to Action Health Incorporated. I have to give a shout out because that is also how I started my career in adolescent health and youth development. I can share my story another day, but Diola is somebody I met while I was working with Action Health many years back, and I'm so proud of how far she has come. And look at her, she's the executive director of, it's not a small organization, no, United Way Greater Nigeria. So congrats to you, Diola, and we're looking forward to engaging you in during our panel conversation. All right. Uncle Niyi, are you with us? I saw you come on, so please, if you can turn on your video and we will bring you on board. So awesome, thank you.
Yes.
Over to you.
I'm so sorry. Let me first apologize most profusely for the delay in joining. I have very serious challenges technically, so that's why I've not been able to join up till now. And even now, you can see that I'm struggling. I had to put it on my phone. My computer just refused to work. So my sincere apologies for that. Now, I believe the question being asked has to do with what my journey has been like in this world. Now, I'll say my journey into adolescent health. I'm trying to position the camera so that it doesn't. Okay, let me say my journey into adolescent health and youth development was actually, I think, it was inspired, let's say, by a deep sense of responsibility. I mean, I would say that I came into this by accident, so to say. I I, I majored in school. I read banking and finance, and then I also took a master's in finance even before coming into this sector at all. But having come into the sector and under the wings of of my then boss, my mentor, Professor Babatunde Oshotimehin, may he so rest in peace. I There was nothing else I would do than to get into it because that was what he was very big about. But for me personally, in the course of time, there was a deep sense of responsibility that recognizes that the choices we make today to invest in young people will determine the kind of society that we'll have tomorrow. In the kind of job in which I am, I can do laissez-faire. There are several of my colleagues who will just go with the flow. But for me, I had a very deep interest in the issues of young people, and I know that the young people of today are the leaders of tomorrow, or they are the ones that will be in charge tomorrow. And I've seen this happening so much. Somebody that is very young there, a child, so to say, that you are just bringing up. Before you know it, the person has become a big a big madam, just like is it Deolana? So when people talk about Action Health and what they do, and I know that that is what Dr. Eket has actually done a very good job at. So growing up personally, I saw firsthand how access or lack of, or what you say, lack of access to information about health, education, and opportunities. I saw how it shaped the lives of people around me because I had a cousin that got pregnant, and then that was how she derailed. I mean, till today. So I could see those things, and this has to do with information. If we had information and access to services and what have you, such things might not have happened to them. So that realization planted a seed in me. And one defining experience that I have was my early work with community-based programs, so to say, where I interacted directly with young people and their stories about how they navigated health challenges, trying to stay in school, dealing with social pressures, and sometimes having no trusted person to run to. That really drove home the importance of creating safe spaces where adolescents and youth can access services, voice their concerns, and shape the kind of solutions that we are talking about that affect their lives. Let me also, because I also want to be brief, another key moment came when I had the chance to collaborate with youth-led organizations by virtue of my work. And so seeing their passion, seeing their creativity and determination to advocate for their rights and also to advocate for their health, it made me realize that young people are not just beneficiaries, they are powerful partners that we need to actually bring together to work with. So that experience shaped my belief that meaningful youth engagement is not just optimal, it is essential for us to have sustainable development. And finally, let me make the point that I work with a mentor. I mean, I grew up in this sector under the very sheltered wings of a mentor who was an expert in his field, who was the quintessential Mr. Youth, who was the quintessential SRH person, who was the quintessential manager. So just working with him closely and just doing my job. I didn't even do anything else. Just doing my job, and just I learned quite a lot. I got quite a lot, and all I need to do is just to replicate what I was learning then, and then I found myself that I'm in this world, and so that's where I'm. That's where I am, and the passion, the emotion, the sentiments, the commitment just comes to me naturally. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Nii. I know you are so busy. For those of you that don't know, he's the resident representative of UNFPA in Somalia. But he has graciously made himself available today. So please give him a round of applause. I love, oh my goodness, I'm going to try to keep myself from talking too much because I want you all to hear from me. But I love what he said about he worked so closely with a mentor. He said, under the sheltered wings of a mentor. A lot of people want to break into this space, but you don't have a mentor. And he said all he needed to do was just to replicate. There's so many organizations that are mentoring young people, so many individuals. I'm sure we'll hear more about it. Let me just quickly check. Thank you so much, Mr. Nii, once more. Let me see, is Rotimi with us? Is Rotimi with us? Rotimi, if you're here, please say something. Otherwise, when he joins us, we will bring him up. Rotimi is another great colleague that is working to advance meaningful youth engagement, and he's the founder and executive director of Youth Hub Africa, which all of you definitely probably know about. All right. So I don't see Rotimi here. We'll go ahead and get into some questions that I have prepared for our panelists. And then we will now open it up to the audience because I want you all to be part of this party. You're not just going to hear me talk. But of course, I know sometimes we're shy to ask the first question. So I will be that person for you and ask not just one question, but several questions. So I think from their introductions, we've heard about what inspired them to get into this field. So my next question would be, many young professionals want to come into this space. I mean, I meet so many people online and in person. They're like, wow, I want to be able to travel. Mostly it's the travel that excites them. But I want to hear from you, or let us hear from you. What advice would you give? Because many of them are struggling to get into the development space, according to them. So I want you to talk about what are the skills that they need, that they will need to focus on, skills that they need to build, and how can they gain credibility? Because it's not just about getting into this space, but you have to be credible for people to give you that audience. I'm not sure which of you wants to take that, but yes, please just share some advice to a young person trying to come into this field. Diola, I think you're muted.
Yeah. I don't know, but I always like to start this conversation. Anytime, I'm asked this question, I always like to start just the way it comes to me, and the way that I have been opportuned to walk this path, which is by volunteering. A lot of people they don't appreciate what the opportunities that volunteering, or they don't know the opportunities that volunteering can bring to them. Volunteering can literally put you in rooms that you never thought was possible, rooms where you never thought you get into or you could be in at whatever age. It doesn't matter. Volunteering, the opportunity for volunteering that I had was what took me outside of the country for the first time. So even if it's traveling, that is your motivation, that's also available. In terms of mentorship and just the network of people that you have access to, volunteering was what gave me that opportunity as well. What volunteering would also do is that it will help to build your experience, which is what will give you credibility. Because you've now been able to volunteer your time to carry out certain projects. It could be in any key focus area. It could be in education, it could be in youth development, in sexual health, in whatever area, adolescent health. You volunteered your time so much that you are now almost like an expert, in these areas, and you understand how to carry out projects from even proposal writing down to implementation. And that has helped to, what you don't know is that has helped to build your capacity such that when there are opportunities for full-time roles, you are then able to apply and get those opportunities. In fact, for me, I would say that when you volunteer within an organization, when there are open opportunities for full-time roles, for jobs, for consultancy, you are considered first. This is how I was trained. And honestly, there is nobody who works with me now. I put together the team that works with me in United Way, Nigeria. There is no one who worked with me now who didn't first start as a volunteer. Nobody on my team. They were first volunteer because it shows your passion. It's while you're volunteering that we see that you have passion for development work, and it's not just about the money or traveling, like you have said. So I'll just, give the other finally some time to also, talk as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diola. You guys just pardon my interruption of our conversation. I see Mr. Rotimi has joined us. I know, Rotimi, you're a very busy man, but thank you so much. So we would like to bring you up to give your introduction, and then we will continue our conversation in regards to questions that the audience has. So Rotimi, I will put you on the spot for your introduction. Just tell us how you got to where you are today in 5 minutes or less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, my apologies for joining very late. I just got off the plane a few hours ago, and there was just some logistical issues in getting to the office and joining this call. So the question is for me to talk about how I got here.
Yes.
I think that when I joined the call, I heard that a lot being said around volunteerism, and I think I must key into that. That is quite I think it's one of the best kept secrets around getting into international development. I think I was quite lucky. I started very early and very young. My first engagement with the development space was being trained as a peer educator in secondary school. I think it was one of those, would I say luck? I was selected as part of a cohort of 20. The teacher just came to class and read out certain names, and I was fortunate to be one of those. And we attended a 3-day training on HIV and AIDS, and then we were meant to be advocates in our school around those things. I think that, but what I've also known that over time I've had this inquisitiveness and curiosity, and it's one thing I always encourage young people to ensure that they protect their spirit of inquisitiveness and curiosity, especially in a society like Nigeria, where many people want you to stop being curious. So be curious, be inquisitive, ask questions is one of the ways to learn as you go on your journey. Don't take what people will tell you, this is how we have always done it. You would hear it a lot in the course of your career, where people will say, this is how things are done here. Doesn't mean you should not respect experience, but you should be inquisitive, you should be curious, you should bring your own flair into how things are done. When I entered college in Nigeria here, I set up a club on the campus with my friends, and we did some work around HIV/AIDS programming, awareness raising on campus. We applied to attend conferences. We volunteered for organizations. That time and I'm sure some of the people on this call will remember, we go to cyber cafe. Not these days that all the internet you need is on the tip of your mobile phone. You pay 1 hour because that's what you can afford in 1 week. And then you go and open your email, hoping to get some very important emails, and somebody has sent you this e-card, and you spend 1 hour just trying to open this e-card in your inbox. But you also use that to also apply for opportunities, volunteer for organizations. And for us at that time, it was not just a spirit of we want to travel. It was just, we just want to learn. We want to get our hands dirty doing things. I studied accounting in university, and I recall volunteering for an organization and which was organizing summer camps for children. And I got on camp, and the founder of that organization says, Rotimi, you'll be our communications and media manager for this camp. So we're doing a press conference tomorrow. I want a press release. I'm like, Ma, did I not tell you I'm a 200 level student of accounting? Why am I writing press release? 12 or 15 edits later, a press statement was written, going through different iterations. If you ask me in the course of my last 20 years of working in the development space, how many press releases have I written following that with my accounting degree? I'm sure I've written over 600 of that following that. And that's how to learn through experiential learning. If you don't put yourself forward in those ways, you won't learn. I also say that you should stand on the shoulders of giants. I see one of my senior Igbo on this call, Mr. Niyo Cholakwe, who has been very instrumental. It's not someone I know from anywhere. I met him in the course of work, but he has extended the hand of fellowship to me and to several other young people that I know. And it's just, for me, it's just that lean on the shoulders of giants that you meet in the course of your journey. Reach out to people. What I always encourage is, as you reach out, be polite, respect people's time. They don't owe you their time. They will give if they have that opportunity. Sometimes they might not respond because it's not just convenient for them at that specific moment, but reach out to people, follow up, be polite. You will get many no's, but some doors will open onto you. And for me, that's how I've stumbled all through my career forward. There's been lots of failures. There've been lots of times where you would cry. There will be lots of time where you would feel that you deserve certain opportunities or certain career growth, and you won't get it. You would even question the people who got it and say, so I'm the one that taught this one, this thing. How did this person get it ahead of me? Well, sometimes it happens like that. But I think at the end of the day, if you are consistent, if you build your craft, if you invest in your capacity development, and there's not any age that I feel that you feel you have arrived, you should stop developing yourself. I still put myself, I register for courses, do professional development, and something that I see myself doing until I retire. There's always so much to learn in this field and in this journey. And for me, that's it. I also hear the host mention things around people talking about travel. I just came back from Kigali where I spoke on a panel, and one of the questions from that panel is, how do I get to position myself for travel? And I said, that's the wrong question. I said, the right question should be, how do you position your work in such a way that you're the best in your field? And then you would attract all the opportunities you're looking for. And for me, that's what I would say to that. If you position yourself in your field and you say, I want to be the top 1% in my field, I want to be a subject matter expert, you would get a lot of opportunities, and for me, that's it. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Another round of applause. Feel free, if you can unmute, give a round of applause. But thank you so much, Rotimi, for that. I just want to flag a couple of things you said. The first, and because I see mostly Africans on here, and you talked about Mr. Nii is not somebody you knew from anywhere, that you met him in the course of your work. A lot of times young people think it's about knowing somebody, that person has to know you to put in a word for you, but it's about your work ethic that will speak for you. I believe all of us that are panelists on here that are speaking, it's not that somebody just said, oh, you're my friend's son, and they said, oh, come and work with me. No, it's like you were persistent, you were learning. You talked about how they asked you to do a press release or a policy brief while you were at 200 levels, and you delivered. I think a lot of young people get complacent. We're beginning to feel entitled. So it's not really about knowing somebody. It's about proving yourself. When you're in a meeting, what do you say that captures somebody's attention to say, wow, this person is brilliant. I want to connect with you. Another thing Rotimi talked about is, he said, there's not any age where you should feel like you've arrived. Oh my goodness. Like, I mean, even Michelle Obama, Bill Gates, and Melinda Gates. See, Melinda Gates is still writing a book. I mean, like, what else does she need in the world? And she's learning, she's still attending conferences, she's still speaking. I mean, you would think she wants to sit in her house, or Warren Buffett, or like, but these people, they know that there's still things to be gained and still things to be learned. So definitely know that there's never an age where you feel like you've arrived. Okay. All right, thank you so much, Rotimi. Let me bring back our panel. And we were talking about just what are the advice that you have for young people in terms of what skills should they develop in order to get into this field? That's the field of youth engagement and adolescent health. I also want to add another question so that you all can feel free to answer anyone you want. Basically, I want to ask you, what are some of the challenges that you faced in this field, and how have you effectively navigated them? I know Rotimi talked about there will be many opportunities that you thought you deserved and somebody else will get it, or grant opportunities, whatever it is. But I'm just going to put those two questions out. Either talk about a challenge you faced in this space and how you navigated it, or what skills do you think a young person needs to have in order to work in adolescent health or the development space. Musonda, I know you have a hard stop at 4, so I'm going to let you speak. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Onyenye. So I'll start with the skill. I feel like the other speakers, Ruti and Diola, sort of covered much of it. I think for me, it's mainly communication skills. I've sort of seen hands-on, like I've had the first-hand experience just working with youth on how young people who are able to communicate and develop these skills, whether it's verbal or written, have actually excelled more. So while we do these volunteer opportunities, while we seek mentors, I think it's also important that young people work around developing their skills. This has to do with speaking up, knowing who to talk to, and also, you know, developing as well your emotional intelligence, communication skills, because that develops you as a youth. I think one example that Roti gave is where you just, after hearing somebody's story, the next thing you're asking is, okay, how do I get on a plane? So I think as young people, you need to, you know, phrase our communication and be clear so that, you know, it gives you some sense of way and reach the right people that need to help you develop as a young person. For the challenge question, I think for me, I've seen that the biggest challenge I've had working with adolescent girls is basically developing programs that actually meet the true marginalized youths. So, and some of this is honestly driven by donor funding. While we could have identified, you know, population XYZ needs this particular initiative, but the way the design and the implementation of the program leaves the marginalized community. So now I'll give a practical example. We received some funding to work around ICT and also develop training resources fully on an online platform. And then within our scope of work, we wanted to reach marginalized youth. So the initiatives were great, the opportunities were great, but majority of the youth who we consider as marginalized are unable to have access to these resources. So there is a tendency of then always moving with what I would call, quote unquote, those who are privileged or who have had like level 1 type of ways of improving their lives. So I would say, as of course we navigate through the development space, I think while we love to involve young people in sort of knowing what are some of these issues that can help develop youths, there's pretty much the gap of ensuring that the marginalized youths, like the hardest to reach youths, are reached. And so the aspect of it is like we can't run away from it, but I think every organization, every individual is always aware and working around and talking about how do we bring in the youths that are unable to actually even attend this Zoom meeting. They are, you know, in a far area. So how do we even integrate tools and design programs that actually make sense to them? Because if you tell a youth to say mentorship, who doesn't even know what mentorship is, that looks a little bit different. But if the funder says we just want mentorship, sometimes it might, the context of it might really be lost in ensuring that we actually meet the targeted population. So that's my take on this. I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Musonda. Is anybody else ready to go? Uncle Nii, I don't see your camera, but please let us know when you're ready to be on stage. We'll bring you in. Okay.
I'm ready anytime.
Okay. All right. The
I'm
floor is
ready.
yours.
I think I'll just say just a little because a lot has been said already, especially around the topic of volunteering. Yes, that's a no-brainer. But let me also add that I think what we should do is to volunteer or internship or volunteer or intern strategically. There's a bit of strategy to it. You could go volunteer somewhere that will not lead anywhere. You need to seek out opportunities probably with youth-led organizations. If you want to work in adolescent, you need to seek out opportunities with youth-led organizations, community health programs, or advocacy networks. You can even find short-term engagement that will give you hands-on experience and visibility. But the very important thing that I want to say beyond the issue of volunteers, because you can get to somewhere and they say we don't need volunteers. What do you do in such circumstances? I will advise any young person just to make sure that you are available to do anything for anybody. It doesn't even have to be somebody that is in the field. Don't say that you must get a consideration for anything that you do. Older people, people that are in the sector, just work for them, do stuff for them. Might not even be particularly in this particular area. And that is how you build your personal brand. That individual knows that this is who you are. Then there's right now in our society what I would call an integrity deficit. Make sure that while working with anybody, either volunteering or interning or supporting anybody at all, make sure that your integrity is intact because that person will be checking. So you need to, that's how you build your personal brand. And let me offer just a small story. When my boss that I was talking about, by the way, he died 8 years ago. So, but I'm still talking about him tomorrow because he's like just beside me here. Now, when I met him, he came into town in Abuja to lead a program on HIV, to lead a project on HIV/AIDS. So he was looking for a personal assistant that has a medical background, who he will be able to work with because of, the technical issues that had to do with it. But when he met me, I was just doing my own. So I was an errand boy. Oh, go carry my bag, go do this, go do that. Oh, I need a place, I need to buy Fanta, I need to do this. I did everything selflessly. There was nothing, I didn't ask for anything. I was available. I made myself useful, not just to him, but there were three other friends of his that they used to roll together. And in the course of time, he did not have any choice when the time came for him to bring me on board so that we can work together. And that's how we began to work together. And it's been a very, very wonderful engagement thereafter. So first, like I said, you volunteer strategically. You make yourself available for anything at all. Do anything to help somebody or to support somebody that is in the field. Then you need to leverage mentorship and networking. What do I mean by that? You need to reach out to professionals in the field, find where they are, ask for their guidance, learn from their journeys. Being recommended or endorsed by someone that's already working in the space will add credibility to you any day. So you need to do that. Then an individual needs to stay informed and to be adaptable because the world is changing a lot this day. The adolescent health and youth development space is constantly evolving, from digital health solutions to new policies and what have you. You need to stay current. And when you stay current, it shows that you are serious and informed, even if you are just starting out. And these days, you have a lot of information out there. So anybody that wants to break into this sector, those are things that you need to do. Some hard work is there, but try to learn about the system and then get a mentor. You will get one at some point or the other when you learn to give. Learn to give better than asking to receive. And then finally, if you are diligent, Bible says that if you says thou a man who is diligent in his business, you stand before. If you are diligent enough, honestly, you will find a breakthrough. Thank you.
Hallelujah, somebody. Mr. Nee, you're taking me to church. Okay. Yes. Be diligent. Oh my goodness. Can you find a man that is diligent in his work? He will stand before kings. And honestly, I think that is the story behind all of our success. just be consistent and diligent. We see so many young people that today they're doing climate justice. Tomorrow, adolescent health. Next tomorrow, it's politics or something. So, like, what is your passion? Don't worry, we'll have many more sessions where we help you discover this, because I also know that young people also struggle to know, okay, what do they want to focus on? All right, we have about 28 more minutes to go. So I want to give the audience a chance to ask questions. Trust me, I still have questions for the panelists. But if you have questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat box. For the sake of time, I'm going to ask another question while I'm waiting to see your question in the chat box, not because I don't want to give you a chance. Oh, actually, let me see. Does somebody want to unmute themselves and ask a question? Please go for it now.
All right. I just want to learn from the panelists. In cases
Please,
where
your name and where you're tuning from. I'm trying to find you.
All right, my name is Diego Gondwe and I'm tuning from Malawi.
Awesome.
I wanted to learn from the panelists, how are they navigating these challenges when it comes to unnecessary competition within the youth space? I heard you have talked about traveling and whatnot. I've been one of the victims per se, where you see some colleagues they're just being in a competition with you and necessarily you're not in a competition with them. So I also wanted to agree with the sentiments to say your work should speak for yourself. There was a time when my work was really speaking for me and I have traveled and young people started being jealous of me and it was hard until I resigned. So I just wanted to understand how best are you managing such kind of challenges? For me, maybe I took the wrong way of resigning and taking another route, but I wanted to learn from the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yewo. I wish I could give you like $50 for being the first person to speak up, but maybe we'll connect later. I always love to hear the first voice. Okay, over to any of the panelists to address her question.
I'm so sorry, Yewo, for what you've gone through. I think I was speaking on another panel some time ago, and I said that things are a lot different now. When I said I've been in this for about 10 years, but at the before even the 10 years professionally that I have been doing this, when I started as a teenager, nobody was trying to compete with anybody. In fact, we just wanted to make a difference in the community. Nobody cared if you were, I mean, there are people who looked up to you, but nobody was trying to pull you down or anything. And I think that helped me stay grounded, because I understood that the drive for this is in the impact. It's not because of visibility or for people to see me or anything like that. And right now, there are a lot of noisemakers. A lot. But what I always pride myself in, or what I say to myself really, is that genuine people know who to go to when they need to get the work done. There are a lot of people on social media who are just screaming, oh, this, that, and who jump on every trend or every issue just to air their opinion. I'm not saying it's wrong, but when people need to get the work done, genuine people know who to go to. They know the real people who are doing the work, and they know who are those who are just content creators. In fact, for me personally, I don't know who you guys follow or my mentors are not people who are on the social media screaming all the time. No, those are not the people who are my mentors personally. So I think that's a way to deal with these. Someone is laughing because I said content creators, but it's true. A way to deal with this is to stay authentic and true to your purpose. So, for example, I mean, what you said about resigning, I think that if you took time out, get out of your emotions, first of all, deal with that, then think about this. Why did I even go into this? Was there a purpose? Was there a reason? Was there a reason why you went into this field? You went into it because you wanted to make an impact, right? So let that be your driving force, not what people are saying or what people are doing or how people are traveling or not traveling. You know what your passion is. Stay true to your purpose. Also be willing to learn from your failures and success. I think some of us are too hard on ourselves. Be willing to learn from your failure. If you failed, maybe you applied for this grant this time and you didn't get it. Apply again. Apply again. It doesn't, apply again or collaborate with the people who got it. You don't have to be the one who starts things or starts a project all the time. Sometimes you can collaborate amongst yourselves, collaborate with your peers. I always say that there are different levels by which you network. Network above, like the people that are above you. Network with your peers as well. Then network below. There are people who are coming up who are going to be really big people in the future. Next UN director or UN secretary, World Bank group secretary general. You don't know these people yet. You don't know everyone yet. So network across all levels. So I don't know. Yeah, well, I just want to say, I think that you still, I think that you're a young person, that's why you're on this call, and you still have time. You can still retrace your step, go back to the drawing board. What about you? What drove you? What was your passion for this? What made you start doing this? Can I still find that passion within me? And then when you do that, you can go back into the field. I think that you're a genuine person. And because you're a genuine person, you will do great work. So I hope that I've been able to encourage you. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear about that.
Thank you so much, Diola. Once you're a genuine person, you will do great work. I really believe in that. I really believe in that. Okay. I don't know if any other panelist wants to add, but I just want to check the comments or questions in the chat box. Anna, you're asking what can make a person not be focused on a particular thing. I think we will need you to be a bit more specific. So if you can try your question again, or you can come off mute and say your question out loud. And then Jade Sola is asked, oh, are you not supposed to be happy that things are done? Okay, I'm not sure Jade Sola either. Okay, so there's a question here. It says, good evening. It came to me privately. So that's another thing. You can actually send me a question privately if you want to be anonymous. So it says, a lot has been said about volunteering. I would like to know if there are tips on how to get into the space as a volunteer, because I remember trying and trying and trying after graduation, but it was not easy getting a place to volunteer. I also want to know if it has to do with the course of study or there is more to it that I seem to be missing out on. All right. Rotimi or Nii, would you want to take that?
Rotimi is the boss. He's a proprietor.
I was going to yield to my mom. Well, maybe the first thing I wanted to say I'd like to comment first on Yewo's question. And first to say, I think Diola has provided very, very useful comments on that. But just to add 1 or 2 points to it would be, I think that I also mentioned earlier that I started very young. And so there was a phase where, young people, all of us competing for the same type of opportunity. So I think I might understand a little bit of what you're talking about for competition. But I think the way that I looked at competition at the time was, even when I saw a call for application for a grant or for a workshop or for a conference, the people who I felt were my competition, I shared with them. I don't want a case where I'm the only one applying, let me keep this to myself. I shared with them, and one thing I realized is the moment people see that you are the kind of person who share opportunities, you don't cover it down. Guess what? Other people will share opportunities with you. It may not necessarily be the people you are sharing with that would share with you, but you will just discover that all kinds of people are sharing opportunities with you. In fact, it's one of the things that led me to establishing Youth of Africa, because everybody was asking me, how do you get your own opportunity? We are not seeing opportunity. I say, I see opportunities every day now. How are you getting it? I'm on this Google group. I'm on this Yahoo group. That time the Yahoo group was very popular. People were adding me and sending me stuff. I'm getting by email. I get so many opportunities. I can't even apply for 10% of it. Then I went to a conference when people were asking me. I committed to put it in on a blog. So everybody that wants opportunity can go there. And that's how I created Youth of Africa's first blog platform then to profile opportunities for young people in Nigeria, you know. And so that's one part of it. The second part of it is when you are new, you are entry level, you have not yet been able to distinguish yourself and be known for certain things. There will be competition at that level. At my own level, and I've not reached Mr. Niyi's level now. At my own level, I have distinguished myself to a certain level. So today now, it doesn't matter where. If I get an opportunity, somebody writes me today and says, Rotimi, come to New York. There's this thing around climate change. Come and speak on this panel, all expense paid business class. I say, thank you for the opportunity. I don't do climate change work. But guess what? I have a few friends that I know whose specialty is climate change. I'll pass on the opportunity to them. It does not matter where, even if they say to Mars, even if they say come and shake President Donald Trump, it's not my forte. I don't do that, right? I'm going to pass it on to the people who I know that do that. I don't take it. And I've been doing this from when I don't have lots of opportunities to now that I travel a lot. But even when I was not traveling a lot, I don't take it. It's not my work. So when people, and I see people in the field where if they don't get it, nobody should get it. They are going to close the opportunity. They will not share. They will wait until the deadline has gone before they mention it. Pass it on to other people. You will discover that as you build your career, you get to a point where you are not really competing with anybody anymore. You know, you're not really competing with anybody anymore. You have your own distinct work. Even if you're working in adolescent sexual and reproductive health, people will know you for a certain part of it, that they will know this is the go-to person for this, you know, this is the go-to person for that. And for me, I think that is the important thing. On volunteering is like looking for work. And I think Mr. Jolakwe said it very well. He says you have to be strategic. I can tell you, I run an organization. We have 50 volunteers. We get more than 500 requests for volunteers every year. We can't take every one of them, right? We just recruited a core member. She resumed in our office last week. Guess what? She messaged me on LinkedIn. I don't know her from anywhere. She composed a very strategic message, gave a value proposition. This is what I study. What she studied was not interesting to me, rather than her skills. I have skills in this, I have skills in that, I have skills in that. I was not even around. I just carried her. I said, send your CV via email, send to me. She sent to me. I forward to HR. I said, interview her. If she fits, hire her. They hired her. She resumed before I returned from my trip. So you have to be very strategic. Do your research. Don't just, some people who forward of CV. I know you have sent that CV to 100 people. I'm just one of the 100 people that you are forwarding, copy to everybody. And you say, you're like, I'm going to respond, right? Be strategic. Research the people that you're looking for. Even at my own face now, I do a lot of networking. The other day, 2 weeks ago, I was invited to speak on a panel at a program in Abuja where I live. My panel session was coming up at 11:15. So I had planned to arrive at the venue at 11. I was in my office eating breakfast at 9. I said, let me even look at the entire program for that day at this program. When I took the program, one of the potential funders that I've been waiting to meet is the one that was going to give keynote address. I say, hey, I left the breakfast. I jumped into my vehicle. I raced to the event. I sat down, took note on the keynote. When they say question, I raised my hand. I asked question. What am I doing? I want to be noticed. I want the keynote person to notice me. The moment she finished and she head out of the door, I followed. I exchanged contacts. You know, I said, she's someone that knows me from before. She wrote me, you have my number. I said, I don't have it though. She said, I ran out of car. I said, give me the number. I'll put it on my phone right away. There is no shame in this thing. There's no big man or you network, you position yourself, do your research. If you want to ask Mr. Neo Jolakbe about an internship or volunteer opportunity, research, know everything about him, so that when you approach him, you are not just saying, sir, I want you to mentor me. You don't know anything about him. You want him to mentor you. What do you want to be mentored on? You have to have done your research. You have to be very strategic. right? And if you do that, if you are strategic, trust me, you will get opportunities. You will get opportunities. If you are strategic, you will get opportunities. That would be my advice.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. Nee, do you want to add to that?
Yes, let me just say, I mean, I agree on all fours with what Diola and Rotimi have shared, so that is fine. But I'll just add something little. First, to Yewo's question about, I mean, the statement about the fact that people might not like you, that is the fact of life. You get to somewhere, people will not like you. That shouldn't be the end of your life. Just say we died there. I mean, you are just going to, let's just work together. Come what it may. Be ready to pull it out. Now, so that's a normal thing. People get not to like you because of who you are. If you are doing well, people will not like you. If you are not doing well, there will be some people that will not like you. You don't really need to do anything. You don't really need to have committed any offense or do anything wrong for people not to like you. Cain and Abel. Abel did well. That was why Cain decided to kill him, even though his brother. Joseph did not commit any offense. He just had a dream. Because of his dream, his brother said, let us kill him. So that will normally happen. So if you are doing well, then that means that you have an enviable destiny that people will envy and then they will hate you for it. But just work it out. There are ways to if you are diligent, do your business, try as much as possible to have integrity in what you are doing, you will do it. That's one. Now, coming to this issue of the question that I heard about, you didn't. I'm looking for internship opportunities I didn't get. For example, Rotimi said they have about 500 applications for volunteers. They can only take 50. So there's that 10% there. If you show up there and you are ready to pay, then I want to be trained. They will take you. I believe. If you go to Action Health, say, I want to have training. I mean, people are there talk about action. Say, I want to have training for this and this and that. In the course of the training, you will see people who will come in, who are the people that you should talk to so that they can mentor you. And the mentorship that they provide in such places are such that they will direct you on the next move, which will take you to somewhere, and then you will go forward. So if you place enough value on it, for you to be able to pay for it, you will get virtue from it. So just be ready to say, if this is what you want to do and you see a future there, hang in there. And then I've seen people that just because of their passion, just to lend credence to what Rotimi said, just because of their passion, in Ghana, we have the UNFPA Youth Fellowship Program, Youth Leaders Fellowship Program. There were people that didn't even know anything about this. I mean, one of the ladies was interviewed, and she was asked, so what do you want to do next? What's your ambition? Say, after this, I just want to be married, then I will have children, then I'll be fine. So she was that basic. But she said she wants this. Because of that, I said, just take her on. It's not all the time that employers or those who own business that they want to take people who are experts. There are sometimes you just want to take the person that you know that is just at the least level, that this one, I'm going to polish her up all the way to up. And then she's in the US now. She's taking a master's degree. She's an assistant lecturer or something somewhere. So if you look at it, if you look back to say that her ambition was to get married and have children and be in her husband's house, and where she is today, it made a lot of difference. So what I'm saying is this: let your passion show. When you need this and when you say you want to do it, be ready to pay anything for it, and then you get there.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We have just 9 minutes to go, and I want to save like 3 minutes for myself at the end. But there's a question from Catherine. Catherine says, hello, everyone. How can one identify a genuine organization to volunteer or partner with? Speaking from a personal angle, I've noticed that in my environment, people register organizations for the funding, but yet no impact, which leaves me with only volunteering online to organizations far from me. But there's always the drive to go into the field and do something, but yet no platform to go through. It's really been challenging. Oh my goodness, I want to say something on this before any of you come on. Catherine, you don't need a platform. Create your own platform. And I feel like I'm skilled at creating my own platform. Whenever I see a need or I want to do something, I try to make it happen. If I look around me and I don't see anybody with integrity or credibility, then I go. So Catherine, just off the top of my head, in your community where you are right now, do you attend a church? Is there somewhere you get your hair done? Is there a school next to you? Go to that school. Tell them, how do I want to have a conversation with girls. I want to have a conversation with boys. Or go to a community leader. I notice a lot of teenage pregnancies in this neighborhood. Can I meet with these girls once every weekend? Come up with your own platform. I'll stop there, but let me let one of the panelists add to that. Yes, so she's having a challenge finding a genuine organization to volunteer with.
Biola is our usual front runner, so please show the way.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So Catherine, first of all, I'm so curious. I wanted to ask, where are you? You know, I just wanted to first of all find out where are you? Because sometimes there are genuine organizations, you just don't know them. You just don't know them. You've not gotten anybody to introduce you to the organization. Or I'll give an example. When I was going to serve, when I was going to do my NYSC, I said to myself that I was not going to, just waste that 1 year. I wanted to be very intentional about where I serve, and I wanted to serve within an NGO. What I did was that I drew up a list. I went on Google, drew up a list of all the organizations in Oyo State, all the non-profit organizations in Ibadan, first of all. And I started going to them by one with my CV that only had experiences from preschool. So the volunteering and internship work that I had done, that was all I had of my CV. But I was going to that, and I was very intentional about meeting somebody to speak to. I would request to see the executive director or the founder of the organization. But if they say, oh, then I'll now say, okay, can I speak to a program manager? And I had my CV, and I'll speak about my previous experiences, what I've been able to do, and how I can add value to this organization. Of course, I would have researched the organization before I go there. And I did this. I did get a couple of opportunities. In fact, I got an opportunity that was going to give me an accommodation. The woman was just like, she was also going to give me an accommodation and all of that. But I eventually got a better offer. And guess how that came about? Someone that I had worked with simply just put a call to a bigger organization, Association for Reproductive and Family Health in Ibadan, and put a call through to a director there and said, you can, I have this, my young person, she's very driven, she's passionate, she's done this, I want her to come and serve with the organization. And they just called me. So sometimes it's a function of who are you speaking to, who are you talking to, what steps are you taking? So, and I want you to, think about that, do your research, speak to people, speak to development professionals in that your area, and then try to see how people can connect you. These genuine people that you have connected with, how they can connect you to the places where of course, you have what Oyinye has said, which is about also starting something yourself. It's an option. It's an option. If you don't have anybody that you want to, start it. And like today, I would say, great things can start from a small place. So start it too. Okay, so I'll let other people speak as well.
I wish that the person who asked the question can say in what city they are based. I think Diola asked that question. So I don't know if the person is still on the call. If you can drop a message, what city is this? So that, I mean, maybe if we know other organizations in that city, but I think Diola said it all. So if you can drop while I'm just speaking, if you can drop so that anybody who has options for you would say that. But I think Diola said it all. It starts first with research, Google NGOs in your location. If it's in Ibadan, Google NGOs in Oyo State, NGOs in here, nonprofits in here, youth NGOs here. Also pay attention. So that's in Anambra. So do that. Pay attention to conferences happening around you, because that's one place where you can go and meet a number of them together. So if you're in Anambra, then watch out for the state capital. Look through the news. Go to Facebook, look for Facebook groups. Go to Instagram, search from there. Ask if there's a network of NGOs in your state. Do research like that. That's one way to find it. If you do the research, because there's no state in Nigeria, trust me, there is no state in Nigeria without at least 10 well-run nonprofits, right? That you will be able to learn a number of things from. There is no state in Nigeria that you can learn from. So Anambra, I don't know that much about Anambra, but I'm sure if you do your research, if you use Google, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, also be asking people within your network. Expand your network, ask people within your network. If you use LinkedIn, LinkedIn is also a good place. Search with Anambra State, look at it, what are people talking about? Even if the conference you see is government event, go there, because a lot of NGOs also attend government conferences and meetings. Go there, ask questions, do your research, cold call, email people. Like I said, I can't tell you the number of people I've given opportunity that I don't know from anywhere. Just because the cold call sent me a message on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on any platform. Trust me, I've also done same. And the reason why I'm also very particular about doing it is because a lot of people have given me opportunities without knowing me from anywhere. They've opened that door for me. I'm also very happy to open doors to people like that. So cold call people, you get a lot of no's. Some people will not respond. I'm sure some people will accuse me. They've sent me an email, I did not respond to them. Sometimes the email comes, maybe you are busy in the middle of something, you didn't see it. But just cold call people a lot. But what I always say, when you cold call, don't send a bland email. Be very specific. Let it be known. Like Diola said, she had researched all the organization. She knows who the founder is. She's going with specific requests. If you just say, I came to submit my CV, is the messenger at the door that will collect the CV from you and use it to pack the thing that they sweep in the office that day and throw your CV somewhere. So you have to be very specific. Like, I'm coming to look for, if somebody comes to my office today and I say they want to drop CV, they get down and collect the CV, pass it to whoever is in the office, and probably it will not be well documented. If you say, I want to see Mr. Rotimi Olawale, they are going to come look for me in my office. Now that I'm on the call, somebody's going to knock. They're going to pass me a message that I have a guest. I will ask them, what's the name of the person? That's how to be specific so that you can reach where you want to be. But I think that you would find a number of nonprofits in Anambra, and you can also expand your search to states around you and find the work that is happening there. But I'm sure that you will find something useful.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to be mindful of time. Yes, I see your hand, Diola. I know we started late, so if you all don't mind, I'm happy to stay a few minutes more, but we're going to be wrapping up shortly. Diola, I see your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to say specifically to Catherine, since she said Anambra, I know, so she should please reach out to me. I know an organization that is currently doing some work in education. If my interest is in education, they're building a free school in Anambra. The headquarters is in Lagos, but the school and some of the work that they're doing is in Anambra. So health and education, that's their focus. So please reach out to me if you want me to I'm happy to do an introduction, basically.
Awesome. And that's why we're here. Please connect. I put the LinkedIn profiles for all of our speakers in the chat. So I hope everybody has seen that. Go and connect with them on LinkedIn. And here is my free advice to you. Don't just hit connect. Send a message and say, thank you so much for showing up today to enlighten us about navigating this space. My name is so and I really enjoyed your talk. I would love to connect. So yes, don't just hit the connect button. Say something about who you are. Okay, is there any last minute question? Or our panelists, if you have a final word for the audience.
Let me just say something.
Yes.
Just a minute. And what I'm going to say might not be the most popular thing that anybody wants to hear. There is always, in anything that you're doing, there is always that space for God there. We have not mentioned it here. There is that gap that you have that it's only God that can fill. No matter how smart you are, no matter how sharp, no matter the opportunities that you have, there is that gap there. Maybe it's just God that you need to add to it. You don't have anything doing, go to church, work in church, volunteer there. 2 weeks ago, I came out of the office of the governor of Ondo State, and as I was coming out, I needed something to be done. I saw a couple in the sitting room, in the reception, just waiting to go in to see the governor. So they said that's the deputy governor and the wife. Oh, that's fine. So I just greeted as I was leaving. The woman called me and said that, were you not the usher in Central Park? He said, that's me. Okay, you're an usher. Oh, yeah, that's the wife of deputy governor. So he told those guys, please go and get anything he wants and give it to him. Go get recognized somewhere. There is nobody that wants to volunteer in church that they don't accept. They will accept you. So volunteer there. Make sure you are doing something if you don't have anything to do. And I'll close with this. There's a particular passage in the Bible, Psalm 37, verse 37. So it's very easy to know. Psalm 37, verse 37. And it says simply that, mark the perfect man and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. If you do whatever you are expected to do, whatever your religion asks you to do, if you have a place for God, you will have everything sorted out in the final analysis. Call what it is. So there's always that place for us. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Final words from Rotimi Odiola.
I'm yielding the floor for Diola to go first.
He's trying to be a gentleman.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just say that I think I've said, some of the things that I think that are really important, which is about knowing why you're in this. What's your passion? What's your drive? Why did you come into this? What are you trying to solve? And if you know this, I think you're unstoppable. I think that you would be able to face whatever challenge comes your way. You would be able to find your way out of any problems that you're facing. Like I said earlier, network across all levels, your peers, younger ones, people above you, collaborate, work with your peers. Know that you're not alone in whatever issue that you are facing. There are other people who would be facing this same challenge. So find out how they are getting out of it. Just research, ask questions, reach out to people. There's a whole network, there are lots of development professionals, not just in Nigeria, across the world. And the social media has made the world such a small space. All of us are just like reachable.
Right.
So let's try to leverage on social media to reach everyone. Like Mr. Rotimi has said, attend professional events, network. Yeah, I think that's it. In terms of funding, for those of you that might have funding issues, collaborate when you write proposals. You don't have to, if you don't have the manpower or the technicality to be able to, write or get this grant or the funding that you really want to, collaborate amongst yourself, collaborate with a bigger organization or another organization who is already in the field, and then jointly apply for these grants. You can also crowdfund. You can also talk to local businesses. That's some of the ways that you can get money these days. It's not all monies that has to come from overseas or international funding. Local businesses, that's their 5 naira profits. They can decide, if you really find somebody who has the heart of giving, they can decide that we want to be supporting the learning materials that you're providing for these children in this school, and they will do that. So talk to local businesses around you to also support your work, and I think you'll be fine. Well done, everyone, and it was so lovely. Thank you, Onye, for having me. It was so lovely to be here.
Awesome. Rotimi, just really quickly, I just want to say a lot of everything that everyone is saying here is based on experience. Because as Diola is talking about funding, I know somebody might be thinking, okay, these things are easier said, but these are things that I'm sure she has experienced. Even her organization, let me put it out there. You can write to them and say, I want to do an outreach to a school. Can you provide me with learning supplies, exercise books, and they will provide it to you. That's a plug, but just want you to know that this is all based on experience, not theoretical. Okay, over to you, Rotimi. Thank you.
So if we need funding, we can write to Diola. I'm also taking note of that as well.
Please.
Okay, my last 2 cents would be that the development field is like academia. You have to read a lot, right? You need to know what is happening, the trends that is happening in the field. You need to look at journals. You need to follow thought leaders in the industry. So that's one bucket of it. What I also tell my colleagues and young people when I have the opportunity to speak to you is that you also have to, you can't grow into leadership in this space if you also don't learn to articulate your thoughts and write, right? So these days I look back at some of the things I wrote 10, 15 years ago. Sometimes I'm ashamed at some of the things that I read. I'm like, am I the one that wrote this thing? But you know what? I'm also happy because I can see growth. Growth has happened. So even though I'm ashamed, sometimes I'm happy that at least I can see some of the things that I documented. If you documented nothing, there's nothing to look back towards. So please feel free, document, learn to write. If you want to work in development field, you will meet a lot of writing on your way. You're going to write concept notes, proposals, articles, submit abstract to conferences. You can't escape writing. In any part of development work, you really can't escape writing. You have to write speeches for your bosses. You have to, all kinds of writing. So please hone your writing skills. People are afraid to write proposals. And I always tell people, the only way to learn how to write proposal is to write proposals. The only way to learn to write is to write. You may start not knowing what to do, but you get better over time. Actually, I will tell you, in this day and age, we are so lucky because we have so many tools, AI tools, that would help you at least to structure your sentences in a way that it makes some sense, that were not available 15 years ago or 20 years ago. These tools now are available. So even if your writing is not fine, you can use some of these tools to perfect it. But please learn to write. It's very essential, and you can't stop reading. Thank you.
Learn to write and don't stop reading. All right. Thank you all so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much. This has been inspiring. This has been brilliant. And I want the audience to know that this is actually we're just getting started. This is the tip of the iceberg. So for those of you that joined in late, my name is Onyinye Ede, and I'm the founder and lead strategist at the AYE Hub, also known as the Aye Hub. For those of you that are Yorubas, Aye, I understand Aye means life. Or it can also mean world or global. So welcome to the Global Hub, where, yes, so that's us. We stand and represent the Adolescent and Youth Engagement Hub. So this is our first event. So stay tuned. We're going to be having an event every single day, not every single day, every month this year. In between these events, we're going to be posting articles. We're going to be having one-on-one interviews. I've shared the link to all of our social media handles because that's where you'll be getting information about the next thing that we're dishing out. So please follow us. I hope you can all see the PowerPoint slide. These are our handles. You can also send us an email. We will respond to your email if you forgot to connect with somebody today, but I hope you don't forget because I've posted those links. So nobody should be asking me for their contact. Connect with them. And then the other thing is we're actually looking for volunteers. What do you know? I mean, everybody was talking about volunteering. And this initiative, we're just kicking it off. So you have a chance to tell us what you want to see, whatever you want to do. Once you click on this link that is on your screen, or you scan the QR code, it will take you to our volunteer form. And we have lots of roles where you can volunteer. So please sign up to join the Aye Hub. I guarantee you will not regret it. You will not regret it. Okay. Thank you so much to our panel. Like, honestly, I wish I had $1 million. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I always say I want to be the Oprah of Africa. And I keep claiming it because I really want to dash people money. So, but all that you shared today is priceless, is very invaluable. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know it wasn't easy to try to reschedule things to be here, but you made it happen, and I'm really, really grateful. And I'm based in Maryland in the United States, for those of you that don't know. So we're a global community. Feel free to connect. I can also post my LinkedIn profile as well. But stay tuned. This is just the beginning. All right. Thank God it's Friday. Be safe and please get some rest this weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. See you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.